Hey, how's it going? It's Uriah. I thought today I would go through my training session that I did with Rick from 28mm RPG, my 4D role-playing training session. It was such a great experience, learned a whole lot from it, and I'd like to go through it, offer some self-critique, sort of talk about the experience, and for those out there who are interested in 4D role-playing, who are curious about it, don't know what to expect, you're looking to get into a training session yourself, I can sort of give you some ideas of what to expect. So without further ado, let's get into it. So if you're uninitiated, if you're unfamiliar with what 4D role playing is, it is a methodology or a philosophy of role playing that emphasizes remaining in character. So that is the main goal of role playing, is to remain in character. So that means we're not asking questions to the game master. It means that we're not engaging in out of character conversation, side jokes, side remarks. We're not doing a lot of the things that you'll see at most RPG tables. We're not playing the game as a war game where we're trying to win, but instead our goal is to immerse ourselves in our characters and to faithfully make decisions and interact with that virtual world as those characters. If you want a way better, more concise explanation of what 4D role-playing is, check out Mr. Max at Reactionary Principle Gaming here on YouTube. He has an excellent channel where he goes in depth about a lot of different role-playing topics, and he does an excellent job of putting into words and putting into a slideshow what 4D role-playing is and how we accomplish that. So I'm a part of the RPG Crusade Discord server, and one of the processes that I got to go through was being vetted, basically demonstrating that I understand the concepts of 4D role-playing and that I can put them into action in a game, in a session. So Rick, as you can see, Rick, the 4D GM, was kind enough to offer his expertise as a GM in the 4D style to let me have a go at it, let me have a crack at it. And yeah, we'll get into it. I will starting this right at the beginning of the session. The breakdown of what this is, it's a proof of concept. So we have established a setting, which the setting for this session was meant to be more of a cyberpunk tone, or a cyberpunk setting. I don't really know much about cyberpunk as a genre, but I love the idea of sci-fi. I love the idea of cybernetic limbs. And just to give a quick background to my character, he is a muscle for hire that suffered an injury in his past, and he has 2 cybernetic legs, cybernetic prosthetics. And one of the first things I talk about it in the small bit of prep that we have before the game, but I fail to incorporate it into the actual session, is talking about how the legs are prosthetics. So it's kind of jarring if it's not clear at first. But we will go ahead and get started. We're starting off with me, my character, waking up in the morning. And I will offer input, and I'll be pausing here and there to sort of give my thoughts, what I was thinking in the moment, things that I see that I need to work on, and hopefully this will be a cool educational experience for everyone involved. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So, outside the creak of your mailbox, and it slams. Footsteps wander away from your abode.
My eyes creak awake. I look over to my alarm clock that's just about to go off, and before the horrendous sound can violate my ears, I switch the ringer off. I sit up in my bed. The stale smell of cigarette smoke sort of still lingering in the air. I look around, see my wheelchair, and I notice one of my legs is missing. I hear a noise in the other room, and I hear my roommate Mitch tinkering with some toys, with some tools. Grab a cigarette, put it in my mouth, and take a hit.
So first thing, it'll be a common theme throughout this session. With this being a one-on-one session, I felt the need to sort of fill in the dead space. I kind of felt the liberty to sort of take the wheel and run with it in my descriptions. What that ended up causing and what that brought about is a lot of what's called time violation, basically turn bloat. And what that means is I'm not thinking of my turns as turns. One of the big proponents, or one of the big components of role-playing, is simply stating where you are, stating what you do, and then saying what your character says, if anything. The way that I'm doing this, the way that I'm going through these turns, I'm kind of leaving that behind and instead describing where I am, what I'm doing, what I say, where I am, what I'm doing, what I say, without giving pause to allow Rick to step in. And in a proper game where there's more people, I would be stepping on their toes. I would be taking up their time. I would be taking their spotlight, so to speak. So that is a common thread that you'll see a lot in the beginning, especially sort of in this intro section. And it's something that I will definitely work on in the future.
The air split from the kitchen area.
Mitch, what are you doing?
Oh, you awake? You awake? Oh, sorry about that, man. I'll sweep it. I'll open a window. You want some eggs, bacon?
Jeez. I reach over to the wheelchair I have next to my bed, and I pop myself in and begin to wheel myself down the hall into the kitchen, waving the smoke of whatever just died.
Tap, 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 chink, 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 chink. Hey, you looking a little bit rough on the gills there, bro.
I mean, yeah, I just got awoken to whatever are you putting, is that an AI that you're putting in the toaster?
What?
Man.
So I 4D'd my roommate, Mitch, and he was kind of this tinkerer. I thought it was an interesting addition. And he, the idea being he tinkers with my legs and keeps them, I don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of spare change. So Mitch is the one that works on them, keeps them in good working condition.
He moves over and checks the toaster.
What do you have my leg? And I bump into the fridge.
I think it's on the porch, man.
You have to stop tinkering on the porch. I swear, one of these days, one of your expensive tools is going to get taken.
Sorry, man. I got to work on stuff, constantly. It's that PTSD thing that, I just got to do it. And the ADHD.
I know, man. Yeah. Whatever. I wheel around the couch.
You can see that I just didn't know what to say at that point.
To the front door, and I open it up. Carefully get across the door jamb and grab the leg and set it on my lap as I wheel back in. Shut the door.
The glint from your mailbox. A letter is poking out from it.
So this was one of the examples that Rick gave me whenever we were talking about the session after the fact, as an example of sort of going a little bit too far with my descriptions, or taking too much time, so to speak. So in that turn, I took several actions. So it was me wheeling myself to the door, opening the door. Really, that should have been one turn. So after that turn, I should have paused for a second. And in a normal game, it would have gone to the next person's turn. But I think if I would have paused in that moment, it would have done a better job of demonstrating my understanding of sort of the time conventions, so to speak. But I essentially I wheel myself to the door, open the door, grab the leg, or get over the door jamb, grab the leg, get back inside, shut the. It's there's a lot of time taken up in that. So I definitely should have taken a couple more pauses in that span.
Mitch, did you get the mail? As I put on one leg and I put on the other, I feel the cybernetic connectors sinking into my skin. And it hurts as I stand up from the wheelchair, stretching. I'll get it. I walk over to the mailbox.
That was a perfect place to pause. I probably should have paused there. I think in this moment I took the silence that I was getting from Rick as license to keep going, and that kind of it kind of created like a downward spiral. No, not downward spiral, but just it pushed me towards that bad habit, so to speak.
Open it up. Pull out the letter.
Letter has urgent final notice.
Bill. Letter from Bill. Shut it and turn back around and kind of looking around at the disarray of the lawn. Later, I walk back inside. I take out this urgent notice as Mitch has set a bowl of burnt eggs in front of me. Thanks, buddy.
Now, if I'm being really nitpicky, you could squint your eyes and say that I was controlling the NPC in this instance. You could take it either way. I probably could have said something a little bit different to the effect of, instead of saying, as Mitch sets a bowl of burnt eggs in front of me, I could have just said, as I sit down in front of a bowl of burnt eggs or something like that. But it's at that point, it's semantics.
Cajun style, as always.
You're not even from Louisiana. Never mind. Start to eat, and I take out this urgent notice.
Another letter mentioning the recuperation of funds. They are confiscating your legs within the next 3 days.
Jeez.
I love Rick. That threw me for a loop in the moment. I really didn't expect that, but that was cool. That was funny.
I flip through the pages and look at the total owed. Let me see. How in the world am I going to get $3,000 in 3 days? Jeez.
So that's a good example of an aspect of 4D role playing called co-creation. essentially the players are at liberty to add little things in the moment. So even though Rick didn't make any mention of how much money was owed, I went ahead and just threw in that number, $3,000. That way, it's not an extra exchange of conversation. It flows, and really in this short of a session, the number itself isn't too important, but it adds sort of that urgency.
I close it, I slam it, and I say, I gotta make a phone call. I stand up and I walk over to the phone.
Mitch is humming and washing dishes.
Pick up the phone. I dial Honey's number.
Honey, for reference, is the mob boss that my character works for.
Phone rings.
Yes.
Hey, Darla. Hey, Darla. Is Honey there?
Honey? Who is this? Oh, wait a second. It's on the display here. Oh, you.
Yeah, it's me. It's Frank.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. A moment, please. Click, click. Click, click. Hey, what's up?
Hey, Honey. It's Frank. It's Frank Hyde. Hey, I'm kind of in a tight spot. I was hoping you could hook me up with a job, something big and something fast.
Something big and something fast. Frankie, there's different ways to get through this. We have our means and methods. You have to work your way up the ranks.
I know. I just need something to get me. Listen, I kind of turn off.
Okay. You got a set of wheels. I mean, not your wheels, but a set of wheels, like transportation.
I look back at Mitch. Yes, I have a motorbike that I can use.
Okay. All right. So, here's the address. We need to collect $500 macaroonies off of this guy, Antonio Silva.
All right. I pull out a pen from my pocket and just write it on my arm.
And his address is 2606 floor 59, Geronimo Lane.
Geronimo Lane. I finish writing it on my arm. All right, 500 smackaroonies.
All right, it's crucial we get this done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Miko's waiting for this collection, so if you could kindly drop it off at Miko's laundromat. Alrighty?
Consider it done.
All right.
Thanks, honey.
Don't want to hear from you until it's done. Goodbye.
Roger that.
Click.
Click. Mitch, hey man, the eggs were fantastic. Listen, buddy.
He pulls out an earbud. He's like, a what?
I walk up towards him and I say, is there any way that I can use your bike for 10 minutes?
Oh yeah, sure, man.
So if you didn't watch the introduction and you had to hedge a guess of how old my character is, just from the way that I've portrayed him in this session, you'd probably guess that he's a younger guy. In reality, he's supposed to be mid to late 40s. That's one thing that I think I lost the plot on. That's a great pause on my face. Something I kind of lost the plot on was keeping in the mindset of the age of my character. And I started to lean a little bit into my personal humor. I like to joke. I like to kid around a lot. And I think that sort of made things lose the plot. Just me personally.
And if you're on your way past the grocery, definitely get me a dozen eggs. Okay, here's what is it now? $30? Here's $30, man.
Okay, dozen
He
eggs.
hands you a handful of plastic cash.
I stuff it into my pocket, and I quickly bound into my room. Throw on a pair of pants. I open up my closet and I grab my overcoat. Throw that on, and I grab my pistol, the same pistol I used when I was in the service. Check the magazine. I gotta buy more ammo. 2 bullets left. That's not enough. Anyways, okay. Grab Mitch's keys and I bound out the door into the garage. Rev up the bike. Look at my wrist. Look at the address that I wrote down and make my way.
You hear behind you, "Don't forget to fill up the tank."
What? Zooming past.
So this is another huge example of a time violation. That whole sequence of me going to the bedroom, getting all my stuff together, and me leaving, that was like 5 or 6 turns that I all just took in one fell swoop. Granted, as I said before, with a one-on-one session, it's a little bit different, but I really should have taken more pauses in between those. I should have just thought one fell swoop. I should have really taken my time and broken each of those turns down into proper turns. And that's one thing that, like I said, Rick had mentioned before. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit, and we're going to get to a bit of combat. And I'm going to bring up sort of the next thing that I think I could have done better on. So we'll get to that right now. So what we have next is a little bit of combat. I am currently at the hotel, or not the hotel, but the apartment building where Antonio lives at, and I've gone up the elevator. I met a woman in a bright yellow sequined dress with a robotic dog that almost bit my finger off. So now I'm approaching the room, and a gentleman wearing big burly leather coats, has stepped out and stares at me menacingly or something like that. And we'll go from there.
When I get to it,
the door down the hall opens, and a thug rolls out holding his knuckles, cracking them. Black leathers, metal jaw. Really, narrow band, shades on. And he says,
good on Rick for actually sticking to the cyberpunk deal. I sort of, again, that was another thing I kind of lost the plot on. I was more so interested in the cybernetic limbs. I think I said in the intro I wasn't too interested in the glitz and the glamour and the neon. It was more so the grit and the grime. But Rick kind of steered us back on course with that.
Foxy says you were on your way up here.
Yeah, well, Foxy needs to learn to mind his own business. Mr. Silva, I presume.
No. Jocko, his bodyguard. Bring it.
Jocko. All right, buddy. One moment. Let me tie my shoe. And I kneel down and I press a button on one of my legs that activates like essentially combat mode. It gives me a little bit more speed. And I say, all right, you asked for it. And I rush towards him with an open fist, or closed fist rather, and make a right hand to the face.
All right. So what was wrong with that scene? If you were paying close enough attention, you may have noticed that I slipped into a little bit of out-of-character talk there. Instead of simply describing what it looks like when I activate my cybernetic leg, I instead start talking about mechanics, essentially. I start explaining what the leg power does. A way that I could have done that better is I kneel down and press a button on my leg, and the servos and gears on my leg begin to spin faster. And with a quickness, I, stand back up and rush the man or something like that. But instead, I stopped to talk about, it's a combat mode. It gives me a little bit of extra speed. I think that was it was a small misgiving, but it was kind of a glaring thing looking back on it. And it's not the only time I do it.
That is 14, right? Yes, 14.
Okay. Successful hit. Boom. He shudders back. He plates pull apart on his shirt, showing that he's wearing an armored shirt. He's like,
I think my wife just got home. Just a minute. It is now the next day. OBS decided to be stupid and did not want to work. This is now the third time I'm re-recording this part because even though I'm recording audio separately, I forgot to record it in mono. Way to go, me. But anyway, we've skipped forward a little bit. We have gone into sort of the latter half of the combat, and we have just revealed that Foxy is in fact the woman in the yellow sequin dress that was mentioned before. So let's keep going from there.
Dumbfounded at this revelation, I reach to my waistband and say, no, we're not doing this 2-on-1 thing. I'm just here for Silva's money. That's all I need, and I'll be on my way.
Roll for your persuasion.
It's an 8. 8 on the dice.
He backs off. He's like, hey man, you don't want to do that. You don't want to. And the girl, she stops and backs off a little bit, but she also starts stroking her dog.
Lady, I'm not the one. I'm just here for a job, and that's it. I begin to back towards the open door. Say, Antonio Silva, I'm coming in. You better have that 500 for me, buddy.
The girl lets go of the dog. The dog perks up and bolts straight towards you.
Both shots
It's
at
running
the dog.
on the floor. Roll.
Oh.
I just gotta say, I love Rick. How animated he is with the sound effects and his voices and stuff. He does a great job of making it all feel alive. I love to see it.
That's 8, barely.
The bullet ricochets off the floor. The dog keeps on coming towards you. The guy in front of you is like, run! The bodyguard dives out of the way. The little machination starts coming at your ankle and starts going. Ding, 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 ding. You hear the teeth clink against your ankles.
I step back, sort of stutter step back to create some distance, and like Babe Ruth, I call my shot and say, "You better be a good catch," and I try to kick the dog away from me.
Roll.
So we didn't discuss the tone of the session. Training sessions are really more about the proof of concept than they are having a well-rounded, proper session, so to speak. So the comedy that I was injecting throughout this entire session, in any other table, it may not be applicable, and I would certainly tone it back in that sense. But for this training session, it's okay to kind of loosen up and have a little fun, and that sort of thing. But I probably wouldn't have made the Babe Ruth reference and all that sort of stuff in a more serious sort of game.
That'll be 6.
Pelts the dog. Dog's rolling down in a trundle of clinks, clanks, and robotic barks, and it loops and starts inadvertently attacking the bodyguard's leg as well, and he starts yelping. The girl's freaking out now. The door is still not. No response from the door of Antonio's.
So this was another moment of a small moment of incongruency. I was under the impression that the door was cracked open, basically, and in the moment, I don't know if I tried to 4D it in, if I tried to co-create it in, but I was under the impression that when Jocko, the bodyguard, came out, that the door was still cracked. So either, Rick added to the definition, or I just misinterpreted what he meant, or, what the setup was. But in any case, it was a small hiccup that ironed itself out in the moment. And I think I bring this up because I think I even said previously, I start backing towards the open door. That's where the misunderstanding happens. But it works out. I just roll with it essentially. I think one thing, he tells me another. Oh, okay, that's what he meant, and we keep going.
I continue to bang on it, and when I get no response. Okay, let's see what these puppies can do. I click another button that gives me just a little bit extra power on the kick, and I rear back and I try to kick down the door.
This was another moment, similar to the one previously, where a simple description of what it looks like would have done a much better job. I sort of slip into the 2D language where I explain what it does instead of just describing what it looks like. This moment probably would have done better if I would have said something more along the lines of, I kneel down and press a button on my leg, and my leg begins to glow red with potential energy, and I rear back and give a super powered kick to the door, something like that. Instead of going the 5th edition route of, let me list off what this effect does, and sort of take up precious time. The heel of my foot jams into the door, and it's stuck. It breaks through, but it's stuck, and I'm sitting there hobbling on one leg.
Shots ring out from behind the door. Kapow!
I say "oh geez" a lot. That's probably one of my verbal tics. So in this roll of me trying to kick down the door, I think I rolled super low. I think I rolled like a 3 total. So I just kind of did my own fumble. It's a super powered kick, and my foot breaks through, but I'm stuck. That sort of thing. That is one thing I really enjoy about sort of something that some tables do in the 3D or 4D style, is the players are allowed to describe their own failures. They're allowed to put their own limitations on their characters, and I think it makes as a player, I feel like I have more control, while at the same time accurately portraying how my character would react in those situations. I think it's really interesting.
And bullets come flying through 3 holes in front of you, but missing you, you don't know how.
My other leg goes out from my other leg goes out from under me, and I take a bump on my back, just out of pure instinct, hitting the deck. Oh geez. I clamber up to my feet and I say, "This was clearly a bad decision. I need to get out of here." I look around behind me. I see the fire stairwell, and I see the dog attacking the guy's leg. And I say, "Antonio, I'll be back. You better have my money." And I bolt through the door and start booking it down the stairs.
We'll hold her there. I may.
All right. So that was my session, my training session with Rick from 28mm RPG. Such a fun time. It was an absolute blast. I've gone through and watched this a couple times now, and each time it's been a great learning experience for me of finding out what things I need to work on. So like I said before, those time violations where I'm taking multiple turns, I'm just talking too much, it's good for me to learn how to dial that back, learn how to simply state where my character is, state what my character's doing, and then say what my character says, if anything. And taking those proper pauses. Also, remembering to stay in the mindset of describe what it looks like, instead of trying to describe the effect, just simply describe what it looks like. Makes life a whole lot easier. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. If you're interested in 4D role-playing or in role-playing in character, down in the description I'm going to have some channels listed of great resources, places that you can go find actual plays, you can go find campaigns where they play in this sort of style. Lots of good information out there, and I hope that it will be helpful to you and your table. Go check it out. Go check out the actual session. I have the full session posted on my channel where me and Rick, we go through it all. We go through a small session 0 where we sort of hash out the details of the scenario. I talk about coming up with my character, and we put it all together and we play through the session all in that one video. And it's about 45 minutes, 50 or so minutes, and I think it's great. I think it was a lot of fun. We give us a small bit of discussion at the tail end where Rick offers some of his critiques, so that's also very helpful. And I will be doing one of these for my Ultimate No Prep Challenge that I did with Adam and FiltheThril. Super looking forward to getting that recorded and put out. I may even do it live. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But in any case, I hope this was helpful for you, and hopefully you now see that you don't need to have constant interruptions every 5 minutes. You don't need to have out-of-character conversations. You don't need to have cross-talk at the table that has nothing to do with what's going on. You can have a full session with very little prep in a short time and go through an entire scenario. And have your players' decisions mean something. Have them actually be affecting change within the world. So if we could do it, if I could do it, me having little to no experience in the 4D role-playing style, then you most certainly can do it yourself. Like I said, all those channels down in the description, great resources for you to learn more about role-playing, just role-playing in general, but also the 4D style specifically. One video I would recommend by Reactionary Principal Gaming, Mr. Max Boivin. He has it's about an hour-long video talking about what 4D role-playing is, and he goes through all the different kinds of role-playing, all the different dimensions, we call them, of role-playing, and gives his thoughts on each of them, and talks about the pros and the cons of each one. That is a great place to start, and that's what I would recommend for you. But anyways, that's all from me. Be on the lookout for more videos about role-playing and TTRPG content. I am super excited to be starting this new journey in a hobby that I've loved for several years now. But thanks so much for watching. Peace and God bless.